Howdy. This is the Views from the Shop podcast live on X and on YouTube on this Thursday evening. Today's show, it is Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. And I wish you a very, very, very happy don't go to work unless it's fun day. Today's show is a bit of an emergency pod. We're talking Christoph Tilly and his commitment to the Ohio State University Buckeyes. It's a big time pickup for Ohio State. It's a huge ad. Tilly should come in and be a big time player for Ohio State. We'll talk about the impact on today's show. We'll talk about the commitment in general. How did Ohio State get there? As well as his experience at Santa Clara, 3 years playing there for the Broncos, several starts. And then we'll talk about his fit in Columbus, along with where Ohio State plans to go from here. So, if you're watching live on YouTube, please like the video. Drop in a comment whether you're on YouTube or on X. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know your thoughts on Tilly, your questions, anything like that, your thoughts. Happy to address as we get into it. And if you're listening later on podcasts as well, you're important too. And we thank you for that. So, the Buckeyes, let's just start here, okay? It's been a tumultuous past couple of weeks, past week. It hasn't even been 2 weeks since the portal window opened, and a lot of people unhappy with how things were going for Ohio State. They got Gabe Cupps very, very early. If you were keyed in to this show, you knew Ohio State was in on Gabe Cupps. You knew that was likely to happen, and of course it did. Gabe Cupps committed to Ohio State pretty quickly there. I think on the Wednesday of the first week the portal opened, that was last Wednesday, last Tuesday, something like that. It was very, very early that Ohio State picked up Gabe Cupps. And then we just kind of waited. And Aaron Bradshaw, Michi Johnson, Austin Parks, a couple others, they hit the portal. And Ohio State fans are watching Dalen Swain go off to Texas. They're watching Malik Reneau head to Miami. Watching Michigan pick up a player that Ohio State was 100% in on, and it started to get very discouraging, very disappointing, and it felt like Ohio State had nothing going on. And yet, still, the Buckeyes were in on Tilly. I checked in, I think yesterday or the day before, on where is Ohio State in regards to Tilly. I thought, due to another visit that was reported this week, that Ohio State might be out on Tilly, and instead today we get a shocker of a headline learning that Ohio State was picking up the commitment of the one and the only Christoph Tilly out of Santa Clara. So it was a big time ad for Ohio State, and I really don't think that it can be understated at this point, the addition that the Buckeyes are getting in Tilly. So we will get into all of that. Of course, I would ask, make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. I'm also going to drop a little link here for you. You want a free trial? I'll give you a free trial. If you want a free trial to the Views from the Shop podcast Substack, you can get it with this link right there you see in the comments. Go there. You will get an entire week off of a subscription. You don't even have to pay for anything. I want you in. I want you to check it out. I want you to see if you like it, and then you can decide if you want to stay or not. So the link is there. Would encourage you to go sign up there. What do you get? You get access to more insider information. I'm not here telling you I'm the number one insider on Ohio State basketball. Who's to say who is at this point? A lot of people are willing to say who it is not. I don't know who it is. I'm not saying I'm the one, but I will keep you updated on what I'm hearing and what we're seeing in the Ohio State basketball landscape, especially in the transfer portal window. If there's ever a time to take advantage of a free trial, it would be now. Again, you don't have to. If you're not into that, that's totally fine, but would suggest that you can use that link and you can get a free week trial on the Views from the Shop podcast. That's viewsfromtheshop podcast.substack.com. Don't want to plug that anymore, okay? Follow on X. If you're here and not following on X, make sure you do that. Follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, all of those different types of things. Okay, so we're going to talk Christoph Tilly. We're going to talk about the story of how he got here. I've got some video, some film, should we say, of Tilly as well. So we'll cover that on today's show. I appreciate you being here a bunch. I know it's late on a Thursday night. Maybe you're excited for the weekend. Thanks for being here. Let's talk Ohio State hoops. So again, this is big for Ohio State. We were waiting and waiting and waiting. And yeah, Ohio State was in on Dalen Swain. And they reached out and they communicated with Swain. And no, we didn't take an official visit to Ohio State. Doesn't mean that Diebler and the coaching staff wasn't in touch with Swain. And they didn't get him. Texas got him instead. He follows his head coach, Sean Miller, to Texas. And Malik Renew heads to Miami. And Ohio State misses out on other players over the past couple of days, and it's been very frustrating. But I will tell you, I know I say it on just about every show at this point since the season has ended. I've been accused of being a bit of a sunshine pumper. That's fine. I think this move is huge for Ohio State. You can bookmark this. You can clip this. You can come back months from now, and if Tilly doesn't end up panning out for Ohio State, cool. I'll wear it. I'll own it. I think this is big for Ohio State. And again, like I said, well, here we are. Everyone's acting like Jake Diebler has no idea what he's talking about. Everyone's acting like Ohio State doesn't know what they're doing and that they're not going to get anyone in the portal. It's so early. I'm not here for victory laps yet. I'm not here congratulating Jake Diebler on a phenomenal performance in the transfer portal. There's a lot of work still to be done, but at this point, picking up Tilly is big. So he's a 7-foot center. Pause right there. 7-foot center. When's the last time Ohio State had a 7-foot center who was actually productive? I think this is going to be the first time in years where the Buckeyes have a true 7-footer in the Big Ten who will be productive. The Buckeyes were initially in on Tilly March 27th. It was reported they were going to have a Zoom call with Tilly along with Illinois. So we knew very early on, Ohio State, Illinois, two teams that were in on Tilly. Ohio State beats out Illinois, among others, for Tilly's services, and the Buckeyes pick up a 7-footer who, again, I believe is actually going to be good. Ohio State has had Aaron Bradshaw was 7'1" and couldn't freaking rebound. We've seen 7-footers come through this program before. I think Tilly is going to be the 7-footer that we can be excited about. And by the way, there are times in which we can give credit here, we can give credit there. Ohio State and the coaching staff had to win this, but a lot of this comes from the foundation, the collective that supports Ohio State basketball. It's the only collective that supports Ohio State basketball. The foundation, you can follow them on X, you can follow them wherever you want to follow them on Instagram as well. They were crucial in getting in Tilly. I was told by a source that as today was going on, Ohio State was maybe going in a different direction toward a center that Ohio State fans maybe would not be all that happy with. We can guess who that player would be based on visits that were taken this week, a certain player from North Carolina. That's my guess. That's not privilege or information or anything like that. I'm assuming that's maybe where Ohio State was leaning for whatever reason. And the foundation stepped up and said, hey, we can help out here. We can bring Tilly into Columbus. And if you're wondering, what type of player is this for Ohio State in terms of the transfer portal? Number 63 overall, according to 247 Sports transfer portal player rankings. That's fine. Top 8 center. That's all good. But on 3, he's number 31. I don't know if he's closer to number 31 in the portal or closer to number 63 in the portal. I have no idea. I don't evaluate transfer portal player. That is not what this show is for. For what it's worth, this is a 4-star type of player out of the portal that Ohio State is very pleased to get. So let's talk about Tilly at Santa Clara. Appreciate the comment there, Sage Ohio. Thank you. Thanks for being here. So at Santa Clara, so he's fresh off second team all WCC last year is Tilly. He averaged 12.5 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, shot at 55% from the field and 32% from the 3-point line. We'll talk about that shooting here and how he fits with Ohio State later on the show. 5 games this year where he scored 20 points or more. So he showed the ability to score and pour it in at a very, very good Santa Clara team. A team I thought was going to beat Bama. Wrong. Santa Clara is still a great team, obviously, there in the WCC with Gonzaga. He had 31 starts last season. He started in every single game that he played in this year. He missed 3 games this season, but started 31 out of the 31 games that he played. And he has 60 career starts overall at Santa Clara. He also picked up 3 double-doubles this season. Now, if you listen to the show, if you've been keyed into Views from the Shop podcast, you know this, but if you're new here, I'll let you know right now. Ohio State was looking for a starting center in the portal. This is one of the biggest checks off the box that they can make at this point. And one thing they were looking for at starting center was proven production. They have learned a lesson from last year, targeting Aaron Bradshaw and Sean Stewart, former McDonald's All-American, former five-star players, guys who went to blue blood schools and didn't work out, but Jake Diebler and the coaching staff bet on the potential. This is not that type of signing. We're not betting on potential here if we're the coaching staff. Instead, you're betting on a guy who has played real college basketball for 3 seasons. He's going to bring in experience. Jake Diebler, I put an article, let's link it, might as well. Put an article out today kind of covering what did Jake Diebler say. Where is that? On his interview with 97.1 The Fan this morning. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that, but you're curious what he said, there it is, right there in the comments for you if you're watching live. So you can follow that there and make sure you subscribe on the Substack as well. That article is completely free. You don't have to pay for anything or sign up for anything to read that article. You're welcome. But what Jake Diebler had said even today was we need experience. Our ability to push the tempo this previous season was hurt at times because of the lack of experience, also the lack of depth, but the experience is there. And the shooting ability for Tilly is also impressive. So he's going to play a pivotal role for Ohio State in the upcoming season, and he's going to be a non-traditional Big Ten type of center. He shot 55% from the field, 32% from the three-point line, which isn't great. If Bruce Thornton shoots 32% from the three-point line this upcoming season, are we thrilled with that? No, but this is a center. You'll take that for sure. Shooting 32% from the three-point line, and you're not going to get away with hacking a Tilly. Tilly shot 77% from the free throw line this previous season at Santa Clara. So he shows an ability to shoot at the free throw line, to shoot from deep, and to shoot at the field. Now, in terms of where he's taking his shots, 65% at the rim was his field goal percentage last season. So when he's at the rim, he's making 65% of his shots. In the paint, he's at 49%. Both of those numbers are above average. They're really solid. So you'll take those numbers, of course. And again, Santa Clara isn't just playing pushovers. They're playing real teams. I know at times you play in the WCC and you have teams that aren't all that impressive. That's not necessarily the case when you're Santa Clara because you will load up with some teams in the non-conference that are impressive at the same time. So those numbers may come down a little bit as you go to Ohio State and you play in the Big Ten. We'll see. He took 3 shots from the mid-range last season. He was 1 of 3. Not really notable at all from the mid-range. All of his three-pointers came from above the break. If you're wondering where are we getting these numbers from, it's College Basketball Analytics, cbbanalytics.com. Use the code SHOT, SCHOTT, SHOT. You'll get an entire month off any annual subscription. That's where these numbers come from, is CBB Analytics. He was 17 of 54 from the three-point line. Again, all of those shots coming from above the break at the three. And he was also especially efficient in terms of his scoring, given the amount of playing time he had. So 22.0 exactly points for 40 minutes. That's a really, really high quality number there from Tilly at Santa Clara over the past season. And then you look at his defense and his rebound. So here's where there's room for improvement for Tilly. So you would like to see more on the glass. The sheer rebounding number of 4.9 rebounds per game, it's not that impressive for a 7-footer. You still have to look at the minutes that he was playing, but you can also look at the amount of rebounds that he was getting based on the opportunities that he had. 8.3% offensive rebounding rate and 16.2% defensive rebounding rate. Both of those numbers are fine. They're not special. Especially as a 7-footer, you'd like to see better rebounding production, I would say. At the same time, though, again, you had Christoph, you're going from Aaron Bradshaw to Christoph Tilly. Not necessarily one-for-one replacements, but you're going to be improving in the rebounding. And now you got Sean Stewart, who was an excellent rebounder in the front court for Ohio State last season. You've got him and you've got Tilly. Maybe Stewart starts at the 4, maybe Tilly at the 5. We'll see how that all shakes out. But overall, the rebounding production in the front court, it should be better next season with the addition of Tilly and the subtraction, of course, of Aaron Bradshaw. He also had a 2.1% steal rate as a center. That is spectacular for a center, for a 2.1% percent steal rate and a 3.9% block rate. That's still pretty good as well. So productive in terms of splash plays. The Hakeem rate, if you look at his personal foul efficiency, those numbers were good. Again, where there is some cause for pause, 2.7 fouls per game. We know how much of an issue it was for Ohio State fouling this season. They were fourth percentile last year in all of college basketball in personal fouls committed per game. It was absolutely awful, whether it was Sean Stewart or Aaron Bradshaw or Devin Royal or Quez Glover. Basically, anyone outside of Bruce Thornton, they were struggling with fouls often. Even Micah Parrish, a player who defended really well and stole passes for Ohio State and did a great job on the defensive side of the ball, even he was not great for Ohio State in terms of fouls. So that's a bit of a concern for Ohio State. We'll see how he adjusts into Big Ten play. So let's talk about Tilly's fit in Columbus. That's where we can get relatively excited here. at the player that Christoph Tilly is going to be for Ohio State. You're going to see a stretch five. You're going to see a pick and roll master, I think. He's going to be able to defend on the other end as well. And I think that you're going to see overall a much different presence at the 5 this year for Ohio State, which again, I think is going to be very encouraging for Ohio State. So Christoph Tilly, he's a big pickup for Ohio State. I know that last year, this time, we we're probably really excited about Sean Stewart and Aaron Bradshaw. This is a different type of player. Yeah, he's coming from a mid-major program, but he produced. He was second team all-conference. He was honorable mention all-conference the season before that. He's got the starts. How many starts? 60 career starts at Santa Clara. This is a guy who's played a lot of college basketball and looked really, really good doing it as well. And now, naturally, the question is, what's next for Ohio State? As I posted it in the Substack today, I'm getting questions immediately. Where does Ohio State go from here? What are they going to be looking at? Who are they going to be looking to? Here's my guess. I think that they're going to move, or they're going to look probably at a wing/forward type of player. There's some names that are already out there. I think Bobby Durkin is one from Davidson. I mean, I guess we might as well. We use college basketball analytics all the time on this show. Let's talk about his numbers a little bit here. So Bobby Durkin is going to come from Davidson. Played a couple years at Davidson, or maybe just 1 year at Davidson. Let's check. I'm not seeing the drop down here. Sorry. You're not going to get to know that. But Durkin, I think, is a player. So, yeah, sophomore at Davidson. So he'll have a couple years of eligibility left. He scored 13.5 points per game last season for Davidson, 2.3 assists per game. Shot it well as well from the three-point line, 35%, 40% from the field. Took a lot of three-pointers, 7.8 three-point attempts per game. That's 100 percentile in college basketball. Nobody shooting the three ball more than Bobby Durkin, 6'7", wing. That's a player that Ohio State is in on that we know at this point. There's other players that I know of that I can't say, and that's not me gatekeeping information. It's just Ohio State wants to be very quiet about this, and I probably shouldn't even know who this player is. Anyway, but there's also other players who I don't know who Ohio State is in on that as I poke and prod and ask, they don't want to tell me because Ohio State wants to be very, very guarded and protected. Last year, as I've said on this show before, last year Ohio State was burned because names got out. Ohio State was reported to be in on players, and then there's a lot of disappointment when they don't get that player, or they're in on a player and they think they're going to get him, but someone else swoops in, or they're in on a player and now it's been reported that Ohio State is in on this player. Now they got to up the NIL money because it's been reported and there's more competition for this guy. Whatever the case may be, Ohio State is going to be tight-lipped. So as you continue to go throughout this transfer portal season for Ohio State, remember, the Buckeyes are going to be hushed on who they are going after. They are going to be hushed on any kind of interest. And I would assume at this point, any addition they do make, any commitment they do get, it's probably going to be out of the blue, just like Christoph Tilly was today for Ohio State. They're probably going to keep it quiet. They're probably not going to let anything leak. That's been the MO thus far in this transfer portal window, and I expect that to be the case. But if you're guessing, if you're wondering what my guess is of where Ohio State goes from here, I think they go to forward. I know, again, Bobby Durkin is a player that they're in on. There's other players that they're in on that we don't even know. I don't think anyone knows outside of Ohio State. Maybe there's a couple outside of Ohio State who do know. I don't have some of those names. I have some of those names still that have not been publicized yet. We will see what happens with Ohio State. I think they're going forward next. They'd like to get that three-man, that wing player, or a player, maybe Devin Royal plays a three. There's a lot of talk about that. We'll talk about that in this offseason as well at some point. Will Devin Royal play the three? Will they grab a four who's a stretch four? Will Royal play the four? Will they grab a three who's a wing like Bobby Durkin? We'll see. But that's where I think Ohio State goes, is Durkin. I will say this. I did receive a fun text from someone. Let me pull this up here. After the move, here's what I was told. Oh my gosh, where is this message? This is the message. We're focusing in on a forward now. Stand by. Stand by. So is something imminent? Could we see something tonight? I don't know. We'll see. It's probably going to be in the coming days, but it sounds like Ohio State is moving on players here at the wing and at the forward. We'll see what happens. Again, Tilly is a huge pickup for Ohio State. Again, you got to be shouting out the foundation. I know that we don't like to talk about NIL. We don't like to talk about the money and all those different types of things, and we get frustrated. Here's the thing. That $8 to $10 million range, while that's true, we need to change our thinking about this. And I'll close the show with this. That $8 to $10 million that Ohio State has to spend on NIL, it's not on new players alone. It's not on Christoph Tilly and Gabe Cupps and transfer 3 and transfer 4 and maybe transfer 5 that they bring in. That money is also spent to retain Bruce Thornton. It's also spent to retain John Mobley Jr. and Devin Royal and Sean Stewart and Colin White and Ivan Egamon and all those other players. So as you think about this and you see money numbers being thrown around of players earning $2, $3, $4 million at the top of the transfer portal, that's not the spot that Ohio State is in right now. They are paying All-American type money to Bruce Thornton. That's the type of money that he's getting to stay. That comes out of that $8 to $10 million. So Ohio State doesn't have $8 to $10 million to spend just on 4 guys. It's spending it on the entire roster. And again, this Tilly pickup from Ohio State absolutely coming in large part from support from the foundation. Alrighty. So I don't know what's next for Ohio State. This is a fun time of year for the Buckeyes where, again, we're hopeful that this team can get back to where it was. We're hopeful Jake Diebler can do it. We'll see if he can, but this is a time of year where we don't know when news is going to drop. So again, encourage you, follow on the socials. You can turn on notifications. You can absolutely get to the Substack for completely free. Views from the Shot podcast.substack.com. Encourage you to get there, subscribe for free so you can stay updated, or you can sign up for a paid subscription as well to get some more insider access. I appreciate you watching today's show. If you did it live or if you listen live, that's cool too. And if you're listening later, thanks for being here. I know that you are a trooper as well. But that's all I've got. Christoph Tilly is a big-time pickup for Ohio State. Buckeye Nation can go to sleep. Worried about flooding? Maybe. Yes, if you live in the state of Ohio. Outside of that, be happy that Ohio State got Christoph Tilly. It's a long, long process. I mentioned some dates on the last show on podcast only. You can listen to that to get better perspective on what the portal has looked like over the past couple years. It's a long road. We'll see what Ohio State does. This is a great step. A-plus commitment that Ohio State has gotten from Christoph Tilly. Great fit for Ohio State. Great fit for Jake Diebler. Great fit for what the staff was looking for. So we should be excited about Tilly wearing the scarlet and gray next season. Again, I appreciate you watching or listening to today's show more than you can ever understand. I will shut up before you shut me off. Go Bucks.